Hello, wonderful person. I'm Cindy James, and this is the Cindy James Galactic Podcast. Hello, wonderful person, and welcome to the Power of May. As always, get ready to receive power, which comes from the Latin root posse, which means to be able. So get ready to receive the ability to live, breathe, think, feel, act, or non-act more in accordance with what you deeply long for and what will truly satisfy you. Let's take some deep 360-degree breaths, like your whole body in and out, to get you ready to make space, to send oxygen and prana, which is life force energy, which rides on oxygen molecules, to your whole being, to the sensations of your body, to your emotions, to the thoughts of your mind, and to your environment, to support you now in receiving just what you need plus. I've given this podcast the theme, the Lusty month of May, because I think of that song from Camelot. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I was so enamored with the King Arthur mythology, with the musical Camelot when I was in high school. I got the music to it on, was it an 8-track? No, a cassette tape, and listened to it over and over again. Still to this day, I know most of the words that I learned over 40 years ago. And the Lusty month of May is this great scene in the movie, which it was, I believe, Vanessa Redgrave in the movie that I saw, and Richard Harris. So she was Guinevere, and Richard Harris was, I believe, King Arthur, and I can't remember who Lancelot was. I should know that. Robert Goulet, maybe? Anywho, he was Lancelot in something. But in that love triangle that ensued, in this perfect environment known as Camelot, there was the scene when it becomes May, and Guinevere sings this song, The Lusty Month of May. And my voice is a little hoarse from the pollen in May and the other lovely things that happen in May. But it goes something like this as I remember it. And thank you for being with my voice as I sing this tune. It's May, the lusty month of May, that lovely month when everyone goes blissfully astray. Sweet Lord, how about my voice today? I continue to say that one of my major missions in the planet, on the planet, in the planet, around the planet, is to be able to show that perfection and love, the way we've defined perfection and the way we've defined love, can be so limited, and that to go for ourselves to sing raspy or off tune when you feel like singing. And I really feel that song in me this month, and I feel it as a great, great impetus and a great inspiration for us to go blissfully astray. And whatever we've called lust or lusty, to purify that in its true current. I believe that lust, as part of those 7 deadly sins, pride, anger, wrath, I think wrath and anger are the same, sloth, gluttony, greed. Am I missing one? But lust to me means that craving to use someone else as a numbing device or a distraction, or to use them just for what they're going to give you in the moment from the most surface level, the most surface, even cellular or emotional level. And that comes from not really knowing the true source of love and pleasure, which comes from the soul and then enlivens the heart and the body and the mind. So when I think of that song from Camelot, it's May, the lusty month of May, when everyone goes blissfully astray, I think of what does blissfully astray mean? And to me, that comes into the truth of the triune aspects of the divine, infinite knowledge, infinite power, and infinite bliss. And those aspects of the divine are part of us because we have that within us. Every bit of us is enlivened and moves and vibrates with the infinite knowledge, infinite power, and infinite bliss of the all that is, of that creative genius that made the heavens and the earth and made you. It would be impossible for you to exist if there wasn't a creative genius within you and around you. Don't you just knock your socks off and blow your mind sometimes about what you may do, think, say, or situations you find yourself in, whether you judge them good, bad, or mediocre? I'm frequently blown away by myself and my idiosyncrasies and my contradictions. I like to say, my brother Michael has said that I'm a seeming contradiction in many ways because I really love the finer things in life. And I also love to be able to serve people at the most intense moments of our humanity, whether it's giving birth or our soul being birthed to the other side, as we might call dying or death. But sometimes I deny myself simple pleasures that would make my life so much easier. I don't know what that might be in the moment. I remember the example he used was I was using really pitiful knives that I bought, like grade D knives, living in a beautiful new addition that we had put on our house. And why would I not get myself those lovely knives? And I used to use this analogy that it was more stressful for me to go to a Home Depot or a Lowe's and pick out a new faucet than it was to get a phone call that someone's getting ready to cross over to the other side and is asking for me to come speak to them and be with them energetically to serve that transition. Those things have changed, by the way. I have lovely knives, and I now can go to Home Depot and do all that stuff myself. I think that's partially the result of being divorced for a few years and doing everything. Those things that my ex-husband might have done more, or I felt more comfortable relying on him, and being the chief bottle cook and washer. I love that phrase, to be the chief bottle, the chief bottle washer and cook, or the chief cook and bottle washer. There it goes. Like you're everything from soup to nuts, and doing everything soup to nuts for myself, including starting a business, starting an entrepreneurial adventure, and venture designed to serve the upliftment of humanity and to serve it in a way that uplifts me as well, since I am human. Oh, humans, God bless us. We all want to have some fun. There's a line in Camelot where it goes, everyone's going for fun, wholesome or un. And whatever we call wholesome, I am just really railing against notions, rules, ways of being, societal constructs, things I've been told, things my limited mind has told me, outdated ways of directing my imagination that don't lead me to being blissful. This podcast is designed energetically and physically and spiritually and financially and intellectually and emotionally, environmentally and planetarily and cosmically, is designed to help us go astray from those limited, rigid notions that keep us from being full of bliss. You know that thing that says, oh, I could never do that. I want to do that, but I could never do that. Or you see someone doing something and admiring that, but oh, I would never have the balls or the chutzpah or the strength to do that. That is a result of being kept in a cattle chute, in a construct, in a rule, in a means of thinking and being that limit our bliss. Because we don't want to stand out, we don't want to feel silly, we don't want to be said we're stupid, we don't want to be ostracized, all those kind of things. And I say it's time to be ostracized from the same old ways of being that still support a planet that has war on it. It's time to be excommunicated from rules of spirituality and the more that say that someone is going to a heaven and someone going to a hell based on their limited rules of what the divine is. I think that anything that doesn't comport with unconditional love, any spiritual teaching, religious teaching, that doesn't comport, isn't fully aligned with love without conditions and without a 100% compassionate, forgiving deity that resides in us and around us, is only a notion that limits the divine. I get kind of a little bit on a soapbox with this, so I'll apologize for it, maybe I'll say and rather than but. I apologize, and I'm going to say it anyway, that I get very motivated to make sure that religious rules that say that a certain group of people are not within the light of God and aren't saved until they do something that this group of people says should be done based on teachings and writings that have been amended so many times that the energy might be there, but the actual prescriptions might be long gone due to those that interpreted them for their own gain and for their own limited notions of having power over, that those kind of rules are using a limited ego to say that God made something wrong. That kind of limited mind that says that, oh, this infinite divine source, God, Jesus, Buddha, Baba, science, nature, love, Allah, goddess, wisdom, whatever it might be, that made me, if I'm part of that group, okay and ready for eternal bliss and salvation in heaven. But that source so screwed up with the other 70%, 80%, 90%, however many percent it is of existence. What a sad way to feel the security of knowing your infiniteness, by having to say that someone else hasn't complied with your guidelines or the notions of a limited divine mind that we extrapolated says you have to do this. When any infinite Christ-like being, saint-like being says, I am the way, or this is the way, I know in my soul of soul and my heart of hearts that what that really says is drop into the eternal now, into the unconditional love, into the infinite power, infinite knowledge, and infinite bliss of that God-realized being, and let that energy resonate with you, entrain with you, lift you up, feel it. Infinite by nature is not limited. It's without end. So there can be no limitations. And when those sources say, this is the way, I am the way, that I know to be true, is saying, feel that. You know, it's said there's stories of many enlightened beings, but this one story of, I believe, an Indian saint that said, what's the difference between Christ and you, or me and you and Christ, is that Christ knew that Christ was fully the child of the divine, an incarnated soul in a human body, but fully divine, and that we are just waking up to that. Isn't that amazing? This is the age of the compassionate awakening. The divine energies in our era that have come to serve us are all about awakening compassionately to that infinite divine within us. That not only are the Christ figures, these perfect masters, these God-realized beings, the way, but our internal intuition is the way. Our soul-infused personality is the way. Our mind that surrenders to the heart, to the universal mind, is the way. And the way, like the Tao of being, is not a singular human created way. It is one way, in the sense of it is the way of oneness. I like to say we all have a puzzle piece of the infinite creation of the divine, and each one of that puzzle piece, each one of us, is necessary to bring us to wholeness, to oneness. Not the same exact kind of puzzle piece. Well, speaking of same exact puzzle piece, so recently, in the recent fleeting now, not in the eternal now and when this is recorded, so it's all ever fresh, I went to Arizona to visit my dad and my stepmom with my then boyfriend. And we got engaged when we were there, and it was one of the most extraordinary experiences of my life. The energy of going with him, knowing that we'd already decided, had recognized each other as the soulmates that we are, that we'd already decided to be together, and knowing that he was going to ask my dad for his blessing to ask me to marry him. Now, I'm just going to footnote here, sidebar, that practice does come from the woman is chattel of the man, and the father owns the daughter and then will then somewhat sell that woman to then be owned by the man. I get all that. I get the chattel kind of stuff. And I also revel in the sweetness and the love of it. My dad being 82 and my now fiance being 60 and me being 57, that there is that notion of the truth of the masculine. I'll say it this way, the masculine job to protect the feminine, not because she's lesser, but she is the form that hosts new life. She is the form that can move emotions and feelings through her, like an earthquake, like a tsunami, and also like a calm lake. That the feminine form hosts these new souls that are incarnating in a body and nurses them at our breasts and takes care of them. Yes, with the masculine and the traditional masculine and all notions of gender now. But for my generation, and for all generations, I believe that active principle, which is another way of saying a masculine principle without going to external genitalia or physical form, that active form, its job is to preserve the feminine. For example, the active form would plant a seed in the ground for it to grow, and perhaps put a fence around it so that the critters don't eat it when it's growing, so it can grow until it's to its full plant, its full fruit, its full tree. To preserve it as the feminine principle or the receptive principle allows the slow growth and the nurturing from the earth. So I got the occasion to go to Arizona and to have had this incredible occasion to become engaged. My fiance, by the way, still so fun to say that word. My fiance wanted to bring a gift to my dad and stepmom or bonus mom. So we got this puzzle. I got it at the Five and Dime, nothing Five and Dime about those stores down by the shore, but about the 5 and 10. And it was a puzzle that you could download a picture and somehow then you could make the puzzle of the picture more like a mosaic. So it seemed like a really cool idea. So we got that puzzle piece and we took multiple pictures when we were there. And there was a picture of my dad and my fiance that was it still is one of the most beautiful pictures I've ever seen of either one of them, really. And that was the picture we were going to use. But what we came to find out, it was that every puzzle piece is exactly the same in that. And it gives you a numerical matrix having to do with colors to put it together. Now, I might not be explaining it well because it took us hours to figure out really how to even do this. And we were disgruntled along the way, but it became such a, first of all, bonding exercise for the four of us. And it became so fun. And we did things like each one of us chose a song that we loved, we liked, and we would sing to it. And then we stopped a couple times to dance to the music, which was so amazing. One of the songs we danced to, I believe it was during the puzzle making affair, was the song You Light Up My Life, because we were talking about my mom's last days with her soul having a body. And in the last night, we all sang that to her. My brothers were coming through via FaceTime, and I believe my niece and nephew were too, and we sang that song, and we belted that song to the top of our lungs. And I can tell you, there are a few people on the planet, Debbie Boone being one of them, that can reach the notes in that. And my sweetheart and I danced and sang that to each other in a part of my parents' home that I call the dance floor. I have one of those too. I love having a dance floor. It's always right near the kitchen. And it was just so beautiful. So that's why I will still sing, even though my voice is off the lusty month of May. So getting back to everyone has their unique puzzle piece. Maybe we're all the same puzzle piece, but it just has different color and thing on it, which would actually make sense to me. Maybe that freaking puzzle has more to do with the puzzle piece of creation. I'm going to think about that, but not right now. We're going to get back to the lusty month of May and the power of May. Here's some interesting factoids about the origin of May, which I didn't know, and I had so much fun looking this up. Is that the month of May was named for the Greek goddess. Well, first of all, let me digress back. There's two theories on the origin of the word May and the month of May. The first is that the month of May was named after the Greek goddess Maya, M-A-I-A, and she was the daughter of Atlas, that titan who was responsible for bearing the weight of the heavens, and the mother of Hermes, the messenger of the gods. And Maya is considered the goddess of spring and growth and the nurture of the earth and plants. Aw, isn't that so wonderful? She's also associated with springtime, which would be, of course, in the northern hemisphere. And if it's Latin, it's Rome, so it's northern. May in the southern hemisphere, I would believe, would be the month right before winter starts. And in the northern hemisphere, it is, did I say northern? Northern hemisphere, which is what I'm in, it's the month right before summer. And in the southern hemisphere, the month right before winter. And the other school of thought, which comes from a Latin poet named Ovid, which I think that Latin poet is probably very famous, but I have backspace deleted it if I knew it. The month of May, this person says, I don't know what the gender classification is that it comes from the Latin word maiores, which means elders, because the month of June was named after the Latin word, I can't pronounce it, but it's I-U-N-I-O-R-E-S, unariares. Oh, that's really not how it's pronounced, which means youth. So the elders become before the youth. I kind of like the meaning coming with the Greek goddess Maya and her being responsible for growth. And whether that's spring or not, there's so much growth. Growth is actually the definition of prosperity. And I know that I have come to this planet to purify for myself and others the notion of true prosperity. Prosperity plus, as I like to say, expansive prosperity, harmonic prosperity, inclusive prosperity plus. And so I like that in this month of May, and it could also comport with the notion of being the elder, having an elder kind of perspective, the wisdom to know what growth and what a new opportunity really brings us. I believe that May brings us that new opportunity, especially if it's in the energy of the Taurus, which is the bull, or Gemini, which is such a wonderful energy. Geminis are my polarity, being a Sagittarius, which means we're the perfect complement. And Gemini having the ability to move and amend and change and see different perspectives as well. So I think it's just spanking wonderful, the origin of May. And I will say again that the energy of the power of May is bringing us the ability to become astray, to be blissfully astray from the rules, notions, energies, thoughts, and vows that have limited our imagination power, which is the same exact power that made the heavens and the earth, and the same exact power that is within you, and the same exact power that has led you to be receiving the vibrations, the infinite vibrations that are present within you, within me, within the medium of this podcast, and within the energy of the month of May, regardless of when you are receiving this. It is a timeless energy, this energy of growth. And there's a poem by the poet Rumi, who was a perfect master in the 13th or 14th century. I have said this before and I'll say it again. I never got the synapse in my brain right. It didn't fry together. It didn't join together. It is fried. It is frazzled. It is frizzled. But I never know whether the 13th century means 1400s or the 14th century means 1500. I just don't know. But I know it's 13th or 14th for Rumi. And I got to actually go to Rumi's tomb and where Rumi lived and taught in Turkey when I was there in, I believe it was 2008. And what an extraordinary experience. The energy of Rumi is there. And this poem is one of the most powerful poems and certainly encourages me to keep coming back to try to continue this journey of remembering that I'm infinite, even when I forget. And the poem is interpreted in many ways from the Persian, and the way I remember it goes like this. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, even if you've broken your vows 10,000 times, still yet again come. Oh, even if you've broken your vows 10,000 times, still yet again come. I think anyone that has issues with overeating, undereating, drinking, over drinking, what else do we get? Angry, losing our temper, laziness. I mean, just i.e., that is humans. We have these vows. I looked up what vow was. Since I'm in the business now of contemplating my marriage vows for the second time in this lifetime, and knowing that the vows that I took originally didn't serve me, didn't serve the length of the marriage, and certainly didn't serve the ease of divorcing. Isn't that a cool word, divorce? It's like dividing the force. Pretty cool. But as I come to that, and also having had the great opportunity to officiate many weddings and be in service to couples writing their vows, I am, I guess the word is sobered. Like, I want to make sure that the vows that I take are real, are honest, are meaningful, are powerful, are loving, are open to being supported by everyone and everything, especially the infinite greater. So I looked up the word vow, and vow, this is from Wikipedia, our friend Wikipedia, which, by the way, I've donated a few times. Do you ever get that they're free, or they live on the contributions of others, and if they don't get some money, and I've only done it twice, but I really do enjoy Wikipedia, and I use it a lot. So I usually send them $44 or something like that. 44 is a very auspicious number. It's a master number. It's I just love it. So that's usually what I donate. Sometimes 111. But this is what Wikipedia says. Vows, a solemn promise to do a specific thing, something that one is bound to act by. And then solemn means formal and dignified, not cheerful or smiling, serious, deep sincerity. And I can tell you, I don't know what to think about the definition of this and vows, and I have some more healing to do around it, especially since I said I was sobered. So coming out of being drunk is what sober means. That maybe it means coming out of being blissful. So maybe I don't want to be sobered when I'm thinking of my vows. And I don't want to be sobered about thinking about how much those vows meant to me when I took my vows in a Catholic church, till death do us part, and rich or poor, sickness and health, fidelity, and till, only God, what God has joined, let, no one put asunder type of thing. Maybe I'm feeling it right now, people, person, whoever's listening to this thing, person, place, or thing. I'm going to let myself enjoy the blissfulness that I had with those vows, and the tenacity that my relationship to God and the love that I had for my ex-husband, still have for him, but as a husband at that time, that had, and that it just became misguided at a certain point in time and not supported by the divine, because I had thought that the divine was some sort of force outside of me that came through a third person. I mean, mazel tov to Catholics. I still call myself Catholic, and Catholic means universalist, but I have very diverging opinions on the source of authority to marry. As a matter of fact, the first wedding that I officiated of a beautiful couple, and they have beautiful children, and I got to be present for the birth of their first baby, and I'm her a godmother as well to her. What I said was, by the power vested in me, by the infinite authority of love and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I pronounce you husband and wife. I like that so much. So, okay, going back to vows. Of that definition, not cheerful or smiling is the one that I don't like so much. I mean, I get formal and dignified. Dignified just means to be standing in your presence as your authority, as this sovereign, amazing being that loves. And formal meaning to me, I'm gonna mark the occasion. It's going to be called something. I don't know about serious. Deep sincerity I'm all about, with real integrity. And a promise to do a specific thing and to be bound to act by it. I'm all about that. And I'm mostly about that those vows. I was thinking this morning, because I was talking to my fiance, we were talking about writing vows. I do feel like I'm 25 every time I say fiance, and it tickles me to no end. I mean, it's just so great to be this age and have that word. And even more so than that word, the person that is inhabiting that role is a spectacular man on every level. But I was thinking, like, what really am I going to vow? And the first thing I thought was, I'm going to vow to do my best to honor my true self in every moment, and honor that part of my true self that really longs to give myself the experience of being in love with that man, and being in love with life, and in love with relationship, and in love with our families, and in love with our service missions, and in love with everything, even in love with the hard times. The state of being in love is a choice. And I think love holds the container for that. Oh, this is the sweetest thing. He just texted me right now. How wonderful. I have his name with 2 hearts when it comes up. And he was saying fantastic. So that's the beginning of the vows. And that's a vow that I think is unbreakable. It's dignified. It's something I can do. It's not one of those vows that have to be broken. From the song Camelot, the song May, the lusty month of May, one of the lines goes, "Those dreary vows that everyone makes, everyone breaks, divine mistakes, the lusty month of May." And boy, dreary vows. I don't want non-cheerful, non-smiling, dreary vows. I want blissful vows. Blissfully astray. Beautiful. So I'm going to be bringing us into a more formal, dignified, with deep sincerity, vow-like energy portion, vibrational portion, to be received with more silence from me, Cindy Lou, your host for The Power of May. I'm going to bring us into an energy of aligning our vows, aligning the notions, the energies, the thoughts, the feelings, the ways of being that align with bliss, infinite bliss. Let the lusty month of May, the pleasure-filled month of May, in alignment with our longing to love to the best of our abilities, and to grow, and to forgive, and to continue yet again come. To let these notions become reinvented, revamped, and revitalized. Isn't that wonderful? We're going to reinvent in this moment, in accordance with the infinite imagination and infinite bliss of the divine, however you know it, that is within you, that you seek, that you move towards. Like in the Upanishads, from joy, this is my paraphrasing, but from joy we spring, to joy we move, and to joy we return. That's how we're going to be aligning our vows, our promises, our notions of being. So take some deep breaths again, 360-degree breaths. And we'll call on, with that formal, dignified energy of being solemn, of solemnity, of sincerity, invoke the infinite and the highest light forces of the heavens and the earth, the greater God, the Christ consciousness and Christ being, or beings, depending on your school of spirituality. Calling on the archangels, the angels, the guardian angels, the beings of light, the ascended masters and guides, the teachers of the highest light, the holy saints, the planets and the stars, the constellations, the golden planetary Mother Earth, our Mother Earth, Gaia, Father Sky, the four directions, the elements of our planet, and the deepest soul of everyone and everything. We invoke, we call on with great gratitude these forces to come to our consciousness, to serve with full force at our invitation, a reattunement with the true nature of our being, with specifically the power of May, the growth, the springtime, the renewal, the revitalization, the color-filled, scent-filled, delightful month of May. I'm just going to go through and give very quickly the aspects of something I call the sacred 8 attitudes. And I do a full program with that, but for this, right now, we're going to call on 8 being also a symbol of infinity, the infinity sign. Call in these energies so that your energetic structure, including the matrix of your mind and the cells of your body and the meridians of your body and the organ systems of your body, of your incarnated spirit radiating into your energy field, which goes way out from your being and actually into all of creation. Let your body now be revitalized, regenerated, reinvented in accordance with the purest desires of your unlimited imagination. Breathe. And now let these forces specifically be directed to revitalize, regenerate, and reinvent in accordance with the purity of your deepest longing, the purity of your incarnated spirit, your mind, the matrix of your mind, the thought patterns, the impressions of the mind, so they align fully with serving infinite bliss, infinite power, infinite knowledge. And now calling on those forces to infuse and radiate and up the amperage of your environment and your relationship to your environment. Relationship is inherent in all of this. Our attitude or relationship with these aspects of your being is what transforms it. So now these forces revitalize, regenerate, and reinvent in accordance with the highest light, your environment and environments. And now bringing your attention to the aspect of your existence that we call finances, or those kind of resources. Let an infusion of the highest light source, let all of these divine beings do exactly what's needed to regenerate, revitalize, realign, reinvent your finances and your relationship to finances and money and resource accordance with the deepest truths of the infinite supply of our nature that supports the infinite bliss, infinite power, infinite knowledge, infinite compassion that we so seek to experience in this human form. And then let this energy come at your invitation, saying, yes, yes, fill up my being as you revitalize your relationship with your family and friends, those that you interface with. Let these relationships be revitalized, regenerated, and reinvented in accordance with what is deeply needed, not just for you personally, not just for them, but for everyone and everything. We need the way we relate to one another to be at a much higher vibration in order to sustain life on this beautiful planet of ours. And as this energy will continue to bring harmony and understanding and strength and compassion and courage and joy and respect and reverence into these other areas of your life, let it now pour into the society in which you live. However you want to define that, whether it's as big as your country or as small as your neighborhood. Let it revitalize, revamp, regenerate, and infuse with the highest light energy this society that you are part of. The family and friends. And then moving into your relationship with this planet that you inhabit. Let this energy open up for a more pure, communicative, mutually sustaining and supporting relationship with this planet called home, this planet Earth. As I know her, the golden planetary mother. So that you can hear her and she can hear you. And we can access that energy of the infinite imagination that made this planet and the forces of this planet to regenerate them and revitalize them as we regenerate and revitalize and up the amperage and our consciousness, our divine consciousness of the purpose of our existence. And then bringing this energy into your relationship with the whole cosmos, all of creation. Let your awareness grow so that you can have perspective. Let perspective about your place in this time-space continuum, this great cosmos of ours. Let it bring great dignity and humility and access to the kind of wisdom, awareness, joy, and gratitude, and true wonder and awe that comes from being part of something so vast, so beautiful, so beyond our human's mind comprehension, but so within our ability to enjoy and relate to. And finally, let the energy of the divine and the highest light forces of the divine expand and continue to initiate and augment and amplify your relationship with the divine itself. Let your notions, your thoughts, your feelings, your awarenesses, your actions and inactions be raised, revitalized, regenerated, and aligned with the truth of who and what you are. You are a spark of all that is God, having a seemingly temporary separate experience for the great joy of remembering and playing with the infinite power that made the cosmos to begin with, the planet, the society, your friends and family, the environment, your finances, your body, your mind, and so much more. And let yourself feel the deep longing, need, and want, the wholesome desire to be in relationship with the greater now, with the cosmos, with the infinite within you and around you that made the cosmos, that made the planet, that made you. And take a moment to make a vow to yourself from the perspective of your human self and your infinite self, which are married in this lifetime. There's a commitment that was made. There's no such thing really as commitment phobia. It's just whether you're committed to ambiguity, positivity, or negativity, because when a soul is in a body, that's commitment. So take this opportunity to create vows for you with you. You can see this being written on a gold screen with red letters. You can write it down now or after. You can see it on a red screen, gold letters, grid, all the different permutations, however you want to see it. You can see it written in the sky. And for myself and on behalf of everyone, I will say that I vow to find ways to remember that this journey on earth is meant to be one of bliss. I vow to remember that 99% of the suffering that I've ever experienced or will experience is self-created because I've forgotten. I vow find ways to forgive myself and others with compassion for the forgetting. And I vow to continue to find ways to experience love within me and around me with others in relationship, especially with how I know the greater. Without death, no death, eternal love, eternal life. And I vow to serve and to continue to serve at my greatest capacity, being as real and honest and vulnerable and strong and powerful and knowledgeful and compassionate and prosperous and laughter-filled and dance-filled and faith-filled, as beautiful and truthful, as pure, and as full of a great sense of humor about being a human as I possibly can be. Love and blessings, dear wonderful person. And let the power of the lusty month of May propel you in the most natural rhythm to the bliss that is your infinite birthright and soul right. Mwah. Love and blessings. Mwah. If you enjoyed this episode, wonderful person, and you'd like to share the love, the power, and the possibilities, please post about it on social media and share it with your people. I'd really appreciate that. And to find out more about the Galactic Council of Women, all genders welcome, or how to join or work with me one-on-one, go to galacticcounciljoin.com.